Welcome back, everyone, to ABG Investor Days. My name is Henrik Hintze, and I'm an equity research analyst here at ABG. With me now, I have the CEO of Lime Technologies, Nils Olsson, who will give us an overview of the company, after which I'll ask some questions, and that will be it. Please go ahead, Nils.
Thanks a lot for that, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to present today. So my name is Nils, been at Lime for 17 years now, and been running as CEO the last 2 years. So let's start by giving a little bit of a short overview about what Lime really is about. So we've always been running Lime with a very long-term perspective, more or less, and I think that has given us a fantastic footprint, as you can see. So over the years, we've been growing Lime in average around 19% per year, with an EBITDA margin of, in average, 25%. So something that we are really, really proud about. But no matter how big we've been, how many customers we had, how many markets we entered, and so on, we more or less have had a same goal, and that is to help our customers to become really, really strong in sales, in customer care, so they can help their customers in a good way. And we do that by combining really, really strong software and expertise within certain areas. We have been growing Lime now into 10 offices in 6 different markets. And if we look at the last couple of years, we opened up Netherlands in 2020. We opened up Germany throughout an acquisition of Userlike in 2021. And last year in 2022, we opened up our development hub in Krakow in Poland. And in total today, we are around 400 employees spread all over Europe. If we look at our customer base and user base, we are 6,500 customers today, and we do deals with many customers on a yearly basis, so we have a very low customer concentration. If we look at the top 10 customers, stands for approximately 1.2% of our revenue, and if we look at the biggest customer, stands for approximately 0.6% of our revenue. And a big user base as well, around 80,000 users are using our software on a daily basis. So I think this is one of the most common questions I get nowadays. So how is the market situation? How does it look? What kind of impact does that have on your business and the business society in general? And if we look at this, I mean, and we look at Lime history, we've been through a couple of tough times before. We have had the IT crisis in 2000. We have had a financial crisis in 2008. We had 2020 with Corona. And also, I think when everybody thought that, okay, let's have a great 2022, we also had a war, an invasion of Ukraine. And I think that it's one thing to really run a company in good times, but it's also a really big difference between having, okay, how can we see long-term profitable growth, both in good times and in tough times? I mean, if we look at our performance throughout those crises, we've been managing to go out as a stronger company and do investments throughout tougher times so we can build a stronger Lime going forward. And that's more or less, okay, what will happen in 22, what will happen in 23 and going on. That's our mindset, to build a long-term profitable growth company, combining good growth and strong profitability. If we look at the CRM market, we can talk about a little bit about penetration. And I think many things that the penetration of CRM is quite big. But if we look at the different markets what we have entered, we can see that the penetration is 62% in Netherlands. And then we are looking at the companies that has 10 or more employees. If we look at Germany, we have a penetration of 49%, and if we look at the Nordics, we have a penetration of 43%. So in average, around 50%. So there is a lot of companies that still needs a strong CRM system. And we can see that it has, of course, a couple of factors driving that. We have the general digitalization trend, which is, of course, having a positive impact, that we need to find smarter and more efficient way to handle our customer relations. And we also have a quite big base of old installations of software. And we can see, especially on the German market, which is represented by the gray area, where we have old software installations with on-prem software. And we can see, especially on the German market, where we have a bigger I would say, positive feeling nowadays towards cloud software and new software in general, which I think has a great potential for us going forward. If we look at our market position, we have been competing with the big giants, American giants, in many, many years now. We have Microsoft and Salesforce. And if we look at their business plan, more or less, is to have an indirect model, meaning that they use partners in their sales. So they would like to find the big implementation projects where you can sell a lot of hours, because that's how a partner of those companies are more or less surviving. If we look at our unique selling point, that is more to cover the whole chain. We develop the software, we sell the software, we implement the software, we take care of the support, and we take care of the governance. And we do that in a combination of being local. So we are working close with our customers throughout the whole journey, and we do it locally in each country, which means that we can really help out when the customers are in need. And I think one of the things that really stands out with our business model is the support. And I think that if you try to contact many of the big companies out there, it's quite hard to get hold of them, more or less. But we have a policy at Lime, and that is more or less that we should pick up the phone within 3 signals. And I think that's a really good way to stand out, because we know that if someone really needs help, the best way to really be a good supplier in the end is to really be there when someone really needs you. If we look at our different platforms, we have 3 different platforms today. We have Lime Go, Lime CRM, and we have Userlike. And starting with Lime Go, that's a product where we released in 2014-15. And it's a very streamlined product where it's packaged with all the data within the Nordic region, more or less. So company information, contact information, financial information, and so on. And the value that we really give to our customers is within sales and marketing, meaning that we can really help our customers to find new customers to contact based on their previous behavior, more like Spotify, Netflix, and so on. So based on how you've been acting in the software, then we can recommend what type of customers you should actually contact. Today, Lime Go stands for around 4% of our revenue, and it's mainly sold in Sweden. So the goal going forward is to also get a better traction outside of Sweden. If we take Lime CRM, it's a product more or less on the opposite of Lime Go. The uniqueness is the flexibility. So it can handle all of those things that all CRM systems can do. I mean, handling company information, contact information, writing notes, handling deals, documents, and so on. But what's really unique with Lime CRM is the flexibility to customize it so it really suits the customer's needs. So it really feels like their own software. So let me take an example of BMW Financial Services. And they've been having as more or less the standard needs as all companies. But on top of that, they needed to handle marketing, they need to handle ticketing, they need to handle ways to more or less provide dashboards and insights. They need to handle their resignations of different contracts and so on. And that's when we can really build a customized solution. So you have a standard-based platform in the bottom, and on top of that, you can do these kind of customizations. The latest platform that we had in our portfolio is Userlike, which we added in 2021, and it's a messaging platform, and it's a way to help our customers to find better and improved communication with the end customers. And as you can see, really strong brands, big German companies are using the software, and it can be used both on the sales side, but also on a ticketing side, helping customers with communication. Looking at some of the functionalities, it started with a live chat, but quite rapidly went into a chatbot, but also having a communication spread throughout all the messaging channels like WhatsApp or Messenger and so on. So you can really be and helping the customers where they are. Combining this, we have an offer from our management part, and that's the Lime Intense, which goes through all the different packages, which means that we help our customers with the behavioral change. So many times you talk about software companies, that's more or less providing a software, and that will solve all the problems in the world. But I think the majority of how we should have better customer relations and customer interactions is about behavioral change. So combining that with strong software really makes the value of our products. If we look from a Lime CRM perspective, we have a go-to-market strategy where we focus on verticalization. And the Lime CRM stands for around 76% of our revenue today, and usually like 10%. So if we look from a Lime CRM, we are doing this on a verticalization level. And we have 4 verticals today. We have utility, we have real estate, we have wholesale and consultancy. And throughout the years, we've been adding many companies and logos within these verticals. So we really know what kind of pains, what kind of needs they have. So what we've done is that we have taken the Lime CRM, the base solution, and then put another layer on top of that with the verticalization, meaning that we have pre-built more or less the standard integrations that is necessary, the standard workflows that is necessary within this to really help within the core processes of these companies. The good thing by being a little bit like more focused is that we can really use this when we enter new markets, so it will be easier to do the internationalization. And it's also, of course, when we compete with the global companies with really, really strong brands, it's also easier to be more focused on one vertical, to be top 3 to start with within one vertical, and then to go for the market leading position. So if we look at all these verticals, stands for today around 60% of our revenue, and the rest, if we do these really good, of course that will spill over to the more standardized solutions as well, and that stands for 40% of the revenue today. And the goal going forward is to increase the revenue coming from the verticalization. If we look at the Q1, we had that report on 26th of April. We can see that we started the year in a quite good way. We had a total growth of 22%, with an EBITDA margin of 26%, ARR growth of 14%, and also, which is a very big part of our DNA, is recruiting and onboarding new employees. And in Q1, we onboarded 26 new employees. And I think if we look at, in general, the Q1, we have a little bit like, yes, we see a little bit longer sales processes in general compared to previous periods. But still, I think it's important to really focus on what we can impact, because the macro environment is really hard to influence in that sense. So it's a lot about mindset, to really be on our toes on a daily basis, more or less, both on the sales side and on the expert services side. If we look at some specific details in the growth, I think we are very happy with the growth in general in Sweden. I think that we have a growth of 21% in Q1, which is really, really strong. And especially if we look in one of our 2 revenue streams, we have expert services that has a really strong performance in Q1. What can we do better? That's always a big focus, and I think for me, the sales in the rest of Europe is something that we are focusing on to have a better speed. We had a growth of 23% in Q1, which is for me a little bit lower than expected, and also to continue to improve the ARR growth going forward. I think 14% is in line with previous quarters, and if you look historically, but I think that's an area where we always want to find improvement areas, both for adding more value to our new customers, but also, of course, to existing customers as well. we are continue to recruit, and we have a good candidate pipeline to our next trainee program starting in August. And what we've seen on the labor market is more or less that the employee churn has decreased a bit. So rolling 12 months now, we are at 6%. And historically, I would say that we are around on 10%. And I would say it's a combination. We've done many activities to lower the employee churn. We have a chair saving program. We changed the comp and ben model for expert services. We are focusing on leadership and so on. But at the same time, of course, I also think we have a direct correlation with the macro environment at the moment. So we will continue to recruit for August, but of course we have a combination of the churn and the amount of new employees coming in. If we look at our financial targets, we have a goal on the growth side with 18%. And as you can see, last 12 months, Q1, we are at 21%. We have an EBITDA margin to be above 25%, and we are at 26%. Net debt in relation to EBITDA should be less than 2.5, and it's on a quite low side of 0.8. And dividend, we have a dividend that is expected to correspond to at least 50% of the net profit, and we ended up at 55%. So more or less on track with the financial targets at the moment. So, a couple of questions, and
yes, thank you very much for that, Nils.
Thanks.
So you're aiming for 18% annual growth.
Yep.
What would you say will be the main driver of this? Will it be entering new markets, achieving higher penetration on your current markets, expanding your product offering? What would you say?
I would say at the moment, I mean, in those 18%, we also have that with M&A. But at the moment, I feel that, and that's more or less been my mindset. We did a Userlike acquisition in 2021. If we look at the M&A market, I think the valuations became too high, more or less going forward from 21, and it's been harmonized a bit throughout 22. But I still think that maybe it will go down a little bit on the smaller tech companies going forward. So at the moment, we don't really stress the M&A situation. Even if we look at the financial targets, we have the possibility to do that. We have a strong cash flow, we have a low net debt, but I feel that it's more important to focus on the markets where we are at the moment. So talking about the growth, where it will come from, I think really focusing on scaling the markets where we're in at the moment. We are not looking at the new geography at the moment, but also I would say that we can also see maybe we could expand our offering when it comes to the amount of verticals that we focus on. Because Lime CRM is a really flexible platform in that sense, which means it gives us the opportunity to add 1 or 2 verticals going forward. So organic growth and I would say verticalization, and the main driver should be that we should focus the revenue from the markets outside of Sweden.
All right, thank you for that. How would you describe the stickiness of this type of service? How willing are customers to switch platforms once they're set up in a system? Do you lose customers, or do most of the customers stick with the same provider?
I think it really depends on the platform where we discuss. I mean, we have 3 platforms. We have Lime Go, we have Lime CRM, and we have Userlike. And if you should generalize a bit, I mean, the more standardized and streamlined and the lower target group that you are targeting, more or less, the less sticky is the product. So if I look at Lime Go, and if we sell that to a 2-seats company or without any integrations, of course, the churn on that customer group will be higher. If I look at Lime CRM, which is, I would say, more of a very sticky product, because in all software, when you buy Lime CRM, you also buy an implementation, which means that you commit something from the customer side. You also have integrations. It could be integrations to ERP systems, integrations to web pages, and you more or less also have a bigger solution. So you're covering more areas. It could be ticketing, it could be marketing, it could be sales. So it really handles the really business critical processes. And in that sense, it's a very low churn. So if I look in our verticals, we are handling critical business flows, a lot of integration and quite big implementations. The churn is very low. And so it will depend on that. But of course, we lose customers as everyone. And I would say the main thing is that you really need to get the customer going. So they start using the software so that they get value for their investment. And with a subscription model, you more or less have that opportunity on a yearly basis to renew or not. But it's a quite big thing to replace the systems as well.
Mm. Yes, and speaking of your 3 different products, how would you describe their potential in relation to each other growth-wise?
If we look at the revenue split today, we have Lime Go then around 4%, you have Lime CRM around like 76%, and you have User Like of around 10%. And then everyone is calculating, you miss a couple of percentage, that's old platforms. But if you look at Lime Go, I think it's a fantastic product, but we need to have a better go-to-market strategy. And that's something that we've been working on, strengthening their organization in 2022, investing more on the engineering side, but also marketing and building a good customer success and sales team. So I have... I think, and that's really what we are working for, to have a stronger sales growth in Lime Go going forward. If I look at the Lime CRM, it's a product that is really strong on the market today, and I think that we have great potential because it's a good mix between what the standardized softwares can do, streamlined softwares on the low end, but also the bigger softwares, like, big enterprise softwares, and we take the best from both of those worlds and put in the middle. So it's really like a flexible platform, but you don't need as much consultancy to implement it as you need with the big ones. And if you look at User Like, I think we have a great potential in User Like. We have, as I said, great references already on the German market today, but we have a potential to expand going forward User Like to more countries, both going south and also up here in the north.
All right, interesting. So if you look at the coming year or so, do you have any main goals for the next 12 months?
No, but I think we've been touching it a little bit on what I wasn't really satisfied with in Q1, and I think we need to improve our performance on the areas outside of Sweden, rest of Europe, which is the area what we call it. So I think that's something that we work, and I would like to see gradually improvements going forward in those areas. It's nothing that you fix on a weekly basis and so on, but it's constant improvement that I would like to see. So that's one area. I also think that we have been investing a lot in our software in 22, and we rebuilt our marketing function in 22. So I also would like to see a better performance on the marketing side, and to help us to become the more international company that we want to be. So that's one area. And on the product side, I mean, doing the investments, that's something that would help us to have a more competitive product going forward. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Nils.
Thank you.
That's all we have time for. And thank you all for listening.
Thanks.